So,
All right, Paolo, welcome.
thank you, buddy, for the invite. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no
It's been a long time coming. We talked about this for like a year now, eh?
year and a half, roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, there's been a lot that's happened between now and then.
Yeah, such as
Well, politics,
politics.
for one, it's the biggest one, I'd say.
Politics. It's I
Fun,
guess it's a necessary evil. I guess,
there's ups and downs, but there's always room for improvement, we'll say.
especially in politics, man.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about who Paolo is, where you come from, and maybe just like a brief couple minute, you know what I mean? You don't have to give me your full biography there, but kind of like let the folks know who are watching this where you come from and what you're about. Maybe a bit about your education and your career.
I come from. I'm a son of Italian immigrants.
Oh,
So mom and dad were born in Italy, obviously. My two older brothers born in Rome, and one of my two sisters born in Rome as well.
okay.
Uh,
So you're first generation.
First generation.
Okay, Canadian.
And yeah, and in Montreal. So back in the 60s, they had a big wave of Italian immigrants
All right.
come into the US and Canada. So my parents, make a long story short, they chose Canada and Montreal. So
Good.
So one of my sisters, my two older brothers, were born and raised in Rome, and then we immigrated to Canada in 1970,
Okay.
right in the crisis of October 70, right in the middle of it.
Okay.
So then I was born in Montreal and my younger sister. So there's five of us. I'm the fourth out of five. Make a long story short, I did the reserves for a couple of years, infantry.
Military?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did corrections. I did policing in Montreal for 2 years for the subway, the
Okay.
transit service.
Yeah.
And I joined the RCMP up until 2022. Then I retired.
How long were you in the RCMP for?
17, 18 years.
Okay, nice.
Then I, for some personal reasons, I just had to quit.
Well, thanks for all your personals, all of your various public services.
It was a pleasure, and nobody forced me to do it. It just came natural.
Yep.
Basically, this is it. I did my police foundation program in Ottawa.
Okay.
From 2002 to 2004, and then I did like some criminology law studies in the Université de Montréal, which I had a certificate. And my service with the RCMP brought me to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, then to New Brunswick. And after retirement, I went back to university, UDM in Moncton, in political science. I took a couple of courses left and right just for fun.
Nice.
And this is it in a nutshell. That's me. That's what I did so far.
Right. And what year did you retire in?
I retired in 2022, 2023. Yeah, early 2023 I retired.
So it's like, yeah, okay.
It's been 2 years now, a little bit over 2 years. Yeah.
How do you feel about retirement?
To be honest, I miss the job. I miss the guys and the girls that I work with. Good people. But it's the politics that screws everything up. And for people that are listening and watching, if I'm using the term white shirts, they know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, what does white shirts mean?
It's commissioned officers.
Okay. All right.
So inspector and above. Yeah, the very second one, crosses the floor and becomes a white shirt, for the most part, is for the wrong reason. And they're the ones that screws everything up. So politics, very bad leadership. Years after years after years, that's what pushes people out of the force eventually, right? So that for me was my my experience. But I know it's not only me. There's lots of people out there, good police officers, men and women, that were forced out, literally out of the job, because they couldn't take, the very bad leadership. And it's funny. It's one thing. People talk about PTSD in the military and the force as a first responders, including firemen, paramedic, corrections, all that. It's a tough job, but nobody talks about the PTSD resulting from a very, very bad leadership. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
Right, because it puts
and I mean,
people's job at risk as well, right?
And to be fair, there's bad leadership everywhere.
Yep.
Not just the police force. Like it seems to be a weakness we have. It's almost like there's not enough leadership development or something going
There's
on,
none at all.
right? Because it's like,
No.
like people are trying to be successful as natural leaders, I find quite often, and just because you have a lot of those natural qualities of a leader, to me that's more of a foundation than it is the whole wall, or the whole building. Like it's something to build upon and will help you be a better leader than probably most others, right? Like it gives you that bit of an edge type of thing.
Absolutely. But that's like you said, I agree, that's everywhere. However, it seems to me generations after generations after generation, if it's in law enforcement or if it's just a desk job with the government, right? We level things by the bottom. So let's lower requirements, let's loosen up, entry exams requirements so we can be more inclusive and all of that. I disagree with that. If there's a standard, you keep it like that. There's a standard for a reason. If you loosen up the standard, people that shouldn't be there to start with gets in. And eventually with promotional system, they get into position that they shouldn't have to start with.
Right.
And then starts that decision.
Starts to get away from the merit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
When you do something over there, the consequence at the end, we're seeing it here, like in law enforcement, politics, and every field of the life, eventually.
Yeah, and I find it's particularly prevalent in public service.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that might have to do partially because they're such large organizations. I feel like the bigger an organization, perhaps the more you lose along the way with regards to paying attention to certain needs or certain people's, like, proper attention being paid to people's developmental path and things like that. It's more about how many bodies can we get to fill the roles, right? Type of deal.
Exactly. Well, I'll give you an example, right? I don't know if I'll take the RCMP for example, right? If they're looking for 5,000 officers for that specific year, all right? Out of let's say out of 10,000 that would apply, right? We have those 5,000 that go through a process. If only 4,200 makes it, then so be it. You're behind by 800. I'd rather have 800 less than have 800 that you should have to fill the ranks, but they're not meant for this job.
More about quality, less about quantity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Really. It's same for the military. Let's say someone that doesn't have exactly what it takes to be in the regular force or even the reserves. If you insist on the fact that I really want to serve my country, we thank you for that. But that willingness to serve your country as much as you want doesn't make you automatically qualified for it.
Correct.
And people think, we can say that. Yes, you can absolutely say that. We appreciate your willingness to serve your country. At this time, you don't have what it takes. Period. Come back next year. Get better. If you get better and you have your requirements, come on in.
I mean, there is some of that too, because like I've spoken to people who've had to keep trying over and over again to get into the military, but there's definitely, not that I say military, I meant the policing, right? Same thing. I think it's
All
similar.
The jobs,
I think it's very similar, yeah, across
absolutely.
the board. Question. Let me ask you, like, since you've retired, are there any things that you've thought about that were like, you know what? If I was a new recruit today, I would wish I would have known this. And is there anything like that that you could share that might be useful to somebody who's looking to get into policing or is about to, like, has already started the process?
Oh, that's a big topic. Well, first of all, you can't save them all. Give an example. Early in my career, I would do all those classroom talks about drugs, and say no to drugs, say no to drunk driving and all that, and crossing the street safely, especially the 5, 7 years old, right? And I would look at the classroom and I can pinpoint exactly who's not going to make it. You can tell just by their behavior, 5 or 7 years old. You can tell the way they're dressed, the way they don't look at you, they look defeated, they look neglected. There you go. You can tell.
If they keep on that path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
there's always chance for them to.
But as you go on, you realize quick in your life, you're trying to help people, and some of them cannot be saved. If you can make peace with that from the beginning, you'll have a way better life ahead of you for the rest of your career. You can't save them all.
Right.
They need to pick your battles carefully. That would be the most important thing. And the second one, I was victim of that. Overtime is good because you make good money. If I could give that piece of advice, pace yourself, because a career in law enforcement or military, and as a first responder altogether, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Pace yourself to start at your own pace, learn at your own pace, and take time for yourself. It's offering you overtime doesn't mean that you have to say yes. If you don't feel like it, say no. Go home, relax, go to the gym, have a life outside of the.
Well, here's a question for you. The people who don't say yes to overtime, do they get promoted as quickly?
Good question. I don't think so.
There's a certain value that's built when you're willing to sacrifice yourself.
Absolutely. Some people would call it loyalty and commitment.
Yeah.
To play with your head.
Yeah.
But it's not. No, it's not. But unfortunately, I've seen this. Especially if, let's say you're a young member, no kids, probably single. You can do anything you want. You want to do overtime like crazy, and put your name in for courses, qualification, all that. Yeah, it's good for a while, but eventually you're gonna burn yourself up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you're single with no kids, you're more willing to travel and get transferred, so more promotions quickly. However, someone would be as good as that person, but with kids and responsibilities that can move as much, promotions won't come that easy.
No.
Take more time, and you'll trail eventually behind.
That's a harsh reality.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah. But it's I remember for the first half of my career, not doing overtime, it was frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
No to overtime? Yeah, I'm saying no to overtime. Yeah. I still remember supervisors just calling me and, hey, we have overtime for Monday, so you want to come in? No, I'm not coming. Why not? Because I said so. I don't have to justify myself to you. It's no. I want to have a day off. And often, well, you're gonna leave the guys like.
Oh yeah, they try to guilt you.
Absolutely, I'm not the one making up the schedule, buddy. Last month or a couple of months prior to that, I did my show overtime. No, I need to rest. I'm sorry for those guys, but it's not being selfish. It's being eventually
self-preserving, preserving.
Also, make them realize, do the schedule better.
Yeah. I'm not gonna keep saving your ass.
Exactly.
With overtime. Eventually,
you're part of the management, then you manage. Can't manage, then maybe you shouldn't be a manager.
Right.
Things are very simple. And if you say that, then you're labeled. And I was labeled pretty early in my career.
Were you? Oh, like negatively labeled?
Absolutely.
Did that follow you throughout your career?
Absolutely, yes.
So once you get pegged as a non-ideal, we'll say, then you're done.
In the RCMP, you're done.
Okay.
You're done. Oh yes, definitely done. You're not conforming to the unwritten rules. No, because they're not right.
Right.
So that's it. Unfortunately, it happened. That's a reality. And when you explain that to the public or some friends or relatives, really, and they're like, yeah, it is like that. It's not always sunshine and rainbows.
Well, here's a question: is it ever like what are some of the things that you were able to do in your job as a policeman that made it all worth it?
I'm stubborn.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very, very stubborn. And in law enforcement, there's two things. There's what needs to be done, and the right thing to do. Two different things. All right.
Sometimes they gel.
Sometimes they don't.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. Very young in my career, I had that kid that was kid was 10 or 11. He would beat up his mom.
Okay.
All right, like good bruises, and would call social services. Well, there's not much you can do about it. He's only 8 or 11, 10, 11, blah, blah, blah. And it kept happening again. So that day when I had that same call again for that same kid, I said, that's enough. So I called again social services. This is what's happening. Again, like it was the same thing 3-4 months ago. Well, let's keep documenting and see if it gets worse. I said, all right, so what's your name? What would you like to have my name? I want to have your name when speaking with. Put that in my report, because it's the first time we're having the conversation, so that if something happens again, we'll refer to you.
The social worker.
Yeah, social worker. How about that?
Share part of the responsibility here. Yeah.
Yeah, I hung up. It took 25 minutes. I got a call back. Yeah, pick up that kid, bring it to a town half an hour outside of my county. Someone will meet you there to do a halfway, and he's out of the family.
He's what?
He's out of the family. Like, we're going to take care of him.
Foster? They put him in the foster?
Boom, like that.
Yeah.
25 minutes. How easy that was, huh?
As soon as somebody else's neck is on the line.
And then when I realized, wow, I have that power. Whew, I'm going to use it more. All right?
Yeah.
But it comes at a price, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm roughing feathers.
Yeah.
And that kid, I remember when I did that half an hour, 45 minutes drive, we stopped somewhere. It was at Tim Hortons, and I gave him food because he wasn't being fed anyways. And when the other social worker came in, that kid just ran back to me, big hug. He was so little. He said, thank you for taking me out of that family. Yeah. 10 years old.
So wait a second. Did I understand that he was the one that was hitting his mother? And then it ended up, in the end, he was the one who was actually being abused?
No, he was the one where he was reacting to a situation, right?
Yeah, okay.
No normal kid, 10-year-old kid would beat up his mom.
Right.
There's a situation there.
Right.
So eventually, when I told this kid, right, you're free to go, right? He went, came back running, gave me a big hug and said, no, thank you, because now I'm out of this family. And it turns out maybe a year after, I took care of his older brother as well. Same thing. Same process. Give me your name. Why is nothing being done?
Right.
It was done on the spot. But again, it comes at a price, because then the supervisor would come, the way you spoke to her, she didn't feel safe. Well, I'm sorry if I rubbed some feathers, but if I keep being polite, the real message is not getting through.
Right.
So if I feel like I'm upset, and rightfully so, then you feel my level of anger that something needs to be done. No, I took pictures. We were talking about 10-year-old beating up his mom, and I took the pictures with actually it was a bicycle chain.
Oh.
And again, there's not much you can do about it. No, you're going to do something about it.
Was there any other situations that would have been like intense? Like, I don't know if you're bound by any confidentialities or anything of any of your experiences, but if not, what would you say would be one of the most intense scenarios you've ever been involved with as a police officer?
Well, it was the shootings in Moncton, definitely. That was the most intense one.
The Justin Burke shooting?
Absolutely.
So what was your involvement in that whole process?
It had just happened, and the process was, I was close to three of the guys. I knew the third one quite well, but I was very close with two of them in particular. And it was to guard the scene.
Yep.
So when you see your co-workers just lying down and people still doing CPR on them, you need to guard the scene, because it was still ongoing. I could still hear the gunshots going while it was giving the CPR. So that was pretty intense. And when you don't know where it's coming from, it could be anywhere.
You could be the next target. Yeah.
Who knows, right? So guarding, I guarded 2 scenes out of 3, and it was horrific. Things that I've seen, it was so graphic that my brain just shut off. So even if I force myself to think about some of the events, I can get there, because it's shut down.
There's like a mental block.
Almost like a survival device, you know.
Yeah.
If I want to think about it, shuts down.
Right.
So it was graphic what I've seen. That's by far the most intense situation.
Sorry for your loss that day.
And nothing else comes even closer to that. So
that was the most intense that you've ever.
Oh, absolutely. And if you ask the police officers around here, like they will tell you the same thing.
Just so we're clear for the audience, we're talking about the murders, the cops that were murdered in Moncton.
Yeah.
In 2004, was it?
2014.
2014. Yeah, in 2014. Yeah. So about 11 years ago now.
Yeah, and Dave, Doug, and Fabrice, and
Dave, Doug, those were the cops that were murdered. Yeah, and then there was two others that were.
2 or 3 others as well. They were injured,
but survived, thankfully.
Yeah, and he came very close for Eric and Darlene Gauguin as well. I mean, Darlene was shot pretty much in the neck.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so happy that she survived, but she's, it could have been way, way, way worse, way, way, way worse. So that was intense.
And did you guys know at the time that all that could have been mitigated much sooner had there been long guns, or you guys wouldn't have been so out? Did you guys kind of know that before going into it too? Or?
Well, it happened so fast, right?
Maybe you guys were generally aware that if that kind of scenario were to arise, you'd be screwed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yet it did arise, and still they had to go in and face that just the same.
Yep.
Knowing that they were outgunned.
I mean, if you think back in 2005, we had the Mayor Thorpe shooting, right?
Yes, in Alberta.
So that was in May 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. May 3rd, 2005. I was in Depot back then. I was in Regina when that happened. And then in 2006, 7, 8, pretty much one member per year killed by long guns, all after the others. If you want to listen to a good documentary about this, Carolyn Jarvis did a very good piece on that.
Okay.
It's 45 minutes long. And if you listen to it, and then you listen to what we're doing right now, you'll know and you'll feel, yeah, this is exactly what happened. Actually, it would come to no surprise to you, right? I remember that year. It's funny because back in September of that year, if I'm not mistaken, I was on the first training courses of the carbine C8.
Oh yeah, that was going to be the long, yeah.
So it suddenly just happened. I'm not saying if we would have the carbines before, that would have never happened. It would have still happened, but the outcome could have been way different, because not going too much into the details, but I know that's a fact. The members saw him before he saw us.
They saw him before
he could see one of us, but we couldn't get to.
Well, what are you going to do with a pistol and a shotgun? Those are close-range weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it can travel a lot, but so the outcome could have been less worse. It could have been probably even our entire favor. Who knows? Because the guys that lost their life, they were good shots. They were no slouch. They were good police officers, man. They were runners, bikers. They were fit. They were in shape. They were sharp-minded people. They were out of 10, they were a solid 12. Good investigators, good cops, man. They were all of them. They were super good. So and they were physically fit.
I guess that's why they were on the front line that day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you don't have the tools, I mean, when you're ambushed, then you're ambushed.
Yeah.
What can you do? But those guys were actually.
I always wondered that day, like, why wouldn't they? And I'm ignorant, right? So these kind of questions come to me, like about this type of thing. One thing I always wondered was, why didn't they just release the hounds? Let the dogs go get that guy. Like, you know what I mean? I felt like that would have been at least a distraction enough to close the gap between the two. Like, and here's the other thing too: the closer that the police would have gotten in range with him, the less effective his weapon would have been, and the more effective theirs would have been.
It's
But why not the dogs? Like, I don't understand why 20, maybe like 2 or 3 dogs were just like, maybe there was no scent to go after. I don't know. Like, I guess that I'm ignorant, right?
It was a first of a kind situation here in Moncton.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, so you're, like I said, for the people who were in charge at the time, for their own defense, it happened so quick. You don't know what you're dealing with.
Oh yeah, seconds. Like, yeah.
Is there one, or is there more than one? Is there a second guy? Is there a third guy? We don't know that.
So many things to consider. Yeah.
So there's so many things to consider. So eventually, you need to scale back and freeze everything up. Let's stop everything. Let's start thinking for a second. What are we doing? What's the situation? What tools do we have? What tools can we get right now? Like those armored vehicles transporting the money, right? I think we get one of those to transport the members.
And use it as a shield.
A thing to do as a shield. So, one thing led to another. But yeah, it's as usual, it happens quick, man.
Yeah.
So we don't know. It would be like a school shooting. We always assume there's only one shooter. It might be 2, 3.
Luckily, every time I try to do a podcast. Thank you for sharing that stuff about the policing and all that. It's pretty intense stuff.